Hey, Lucas Tomlinson, thank you. Let's bring in Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, I want to go right to the response from the Russian ambassador to the U.S. It makes it really seem like they think they can walk all over the United States. So my question in part to that is, has Biden let so much slide since he has been in office that this is just what our adversaries think they can do, is walk all over us?
Yeah, 100%. Let's start at the 30,000-foot level of go back to Afghanistan and saw how feckless Joe Biden and his administration is on the world stage. And Putin and the Russians and the Chinese know they can get away with whatever they want to do. Chinese can put a surveillance balloon all across the domestic continental United States. The Russians can shoot down our drones. They know there's not going to be any type of reaction from this White House because just look at Afghanistan. I mean, we had testimony this past week in a hearing, thanks to Republicans being in control of the House, where we hear from a sniper who wanted to engage the suicide bomber who ended up killing 13 Marines and hundreds of civilian Afghanis, and he didn't get the clearance to do that when he knew that that's what was going to happen. Complete dereliction of duty all the way from the top through the ranks of our military right now.
Yet the White House said this was, quote, environmentally unsound. You heard the spokesperson in Lucas's piece say this was unsafe and unprofessional. That's it? That's the extent of the White House response?
Well, yeah, heaven forbid they dump fuel somewhere. I mean, they're in the middle of a war zone. The Black Sea is just south of Ukraine and just west of Russia. So you've got all sorts of military activity going on there. And again, Congress doesn't get this information. I think we need to know, Congress needs to know, if we're flying drone flights in the Black Sea in a war zone, very close to a war zone, what is the mission and purpose there? So I hope that the Biden administration, the Department of Defense, plans on briefing Congress now that one of our drones has been basically taken out by a Russian fighter jet. One, what is our military response going to be? And two, what is the mission and purpose of those surveillance flights, and or if these are armed drones, what's going on there? And what decisions is Biden and this White House making without the authorization from Congress?
What do you think Biden should do in response?
Well, first of all, I would like to know all the facts and all the information. That's why I think Congress should get in. I'm sure some of this is classified. We should get a classified briefing on this as to why we're flying these drone flights in the Black Sea.
Meantime, residents in your state, in the Florida Keys specifically, getting fed up with the rusty migrant boats piling up on their property and littering the shores. Cleaning up these boats, not cheap. Some local reports saying removals could cost up to $100,000 per vessel. Yet another example, Congressman, every state is a border state in the Joe Biden border crisis. Isn't that right?
Yeah, another crisis created by Joe Biden and his administration that's completely avoidable by enforcing current federal laws as it relates to immigration. And now even here in Florida, we're seeing all these derelict boats show up from migrants from Haiti, Cuba, showing up on our land. And they know that they can come here because of Joe Biden's weak immigration policies and complete failure to enforce our current immigration laws.
And I do want to turn to this. You're proposing new legislation to install weapons lockers within the Capitol building, which would actually allow lawmakers to carry weapons for self-protection while going to and from Capitol Hill. So have you had bipartisan support from this?
Well, not yet. I doubt the Democrats want to admit that D.C. is a crime-ridden city run by Democrats. I had a staffer who works for me who was mugged right outside her house. She typically would carry pepper spray, but you can't carry pepper spray into the Capitol. So we've got to have some avenue for law-abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves when they're walking to and from work. That work in our federal office buildings. They're not permitted to bring weapons in, even if they have a concealed carry permit in D.C. Allow them to have locker space so they can walk to protect themselves in one of the most crime-ridden cities in the entire United States, so that they can protect themselves and put the individuals in, put the stuff in lockers, get it on their way out, and they're not going to be victims of these crimes in D.C. because they'll be able to defend themselves.
I'm looking at this through your lens. I mean, you're a pretty tough guy, right? Are you scared to walk the streets of D.C.?
I've got a D.C. concealed carry permit. I went and got my Maryland concealed carry permit when we have stuff in Maryland. I carry here in Florida. I have a concealed carry permit here in Florida. And fortunately for members of Congress, we can carry on federal grounds, but our staff cannot because they're not members of Congress. So they've got to have avenues to be able to protect themselves, because walking to and from work, if they can't bring it into the building, they're not going to bring it. So walking to and from work, they're completely susceptible to being mugged or attacked in the crime-ridden streets of D.C.
Yeah, and it's scary when you look at the crime numbers in D.C. as well. Congressman Greg Steube, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fox